I'm Ali Miller, co-founder and investor at KoolZone. As you can see, I am working from home, like many other of us. But I just wanted to show you that when I'm not working at home and at my customer site, I quite often look like this. For those of you who don't know who we are, we're one of the early adopters of LoRaWAN, working, of course, with the Things network. And we started off way back with working on the public network, and then the introduction of TTI private instance. We moved, I think, with the first customer to move across to a private instance of TTI several years ago. This presentation covers who we are and what sectors we operate in. Also wanted to look at what the KoolZone system comprises of and the impact and shift in our business due to the pandemic. Take a little look at our new KoolZone quantum sensor, which we introduced to the market last year, and some areas of collaboration, just finally finishing with areas of collaboration where we would like to sort of reach out to anybody who may be interested in working with us. So our business, we sell complete solutions that include all hardware and all the application software, which is based on a software as a service model. We sell all the associated support and services, and we deliver bespoke projects. We operate in many countries with customers in North America, Asia, Africa, Europe. The sectors are within the food, healthcare, life sciences, and we do a number of OEM contracts as well, IoT enabling equipment at factory. Typically, we're operating in highly dense mission-critical environments with large number of sensors. The environments often have immense strain on RF and cellular due to noise, electromagnetic interference, shielding of the buildings and the rooms, such as in a hospital environment. We monitor on a huge range of parameters, from temperature, with temperature from ultra low, minus 200 degrees C, up to plus 600. Humidity, gas, different gases, for example, CO2, high concentration of CO2 within incubators for cell growth, energy consumption, power outage detection, pressure, any event monitoring, and so on. Our system delivers compliance for our customers, HACCP in the food industry, MHRA in the health and medical sector. We provide an end-to-end LoRaWAN solution, which gives us remote monitoring and alerting for protection, and uses all the big data of charting, reporting to analyze the past and predict the future. At one end of the stack, we continue to develop our own software, an enterprise-class web-based application platform, which with fully responsive design, so it runs seamlessly on any device. All of our platform software is owned, designed, and built by KoolZone, which allows us to customize where required using an agile development methodology. It sounds a trite comment, but it's a very, very easy system to understand. In fact, before this, I just heard that a customer who we put a system into sent it up remotely during lockdown, one of the big universities. When we had our first call with them, they're actually demonstrating how to use the system to some of the other people who are on the call, and we've never given them any training. It's multi-language. It's scalable in terms of size, in terms of number of users and the sensors deployed. It's expandable in terms of the sensor type and the make. We have APIs to the outside world, of course. We allow delivery. We can sort of deliver customized systems due to the fact that we have the ownership of the code and the inherent knowledge. At the node end, we've integrated a large number of sensors from the LoRaWAN marketplace. However, over the last 2 years, we have been building, maybe longer than 2 years, we've been building our own LoRaWAN compliant sensor with sort of optional enhancements, KoolZone specific enhancements, to help manage some of the extremes of RF conditions that we find ourselves in, whilst still remaining radio equipment directive compliant and LoRaWAN compliant with specific things such as duty cycle. In the middle of the stack, as I mentioned before, we use the TTI private instance, and very excited. We're soon to move to migrate to V3, having held off for a long time to allow full testing due to the critical nature of the service we deliver. But we're very excited, and the migration is due to happen at the beginning of February. We deploy, from a hardware point of view, within the middle of the stack, we deploy a lot of Multitex and Robustels across all our customers around the world. So what has changed for us? How has business shifted during the pandemic? Sadly, of course, many of our food sector businesses in hospitality have suffered, and some have had to permanently close. For those that are just in a hibernated state, we continue to monitor their facilities, our service providing remote monitoring of assets, and we will be there ready for when they come out of hibernation and re-emerge, which we hope will happen soon. Technically, during the pandemic, we've been continuing to look at areas how to expand our platform to pick up new opportunities, or even address some of the challenges that may present themselves, new challenges due to the change in the world. For example, we've invested additional amount of time and effort into mitigating against problems that might occur with the unprecedented demand on cellular networks, particularly in rural areas due to remote working and the high concentration in those areas, which typically the demand was much less. And so we've worked on this to ensure that we have, even with all this demand, no interruption to our service. There have been other trends. The mandate for working remotely and social distancing with still the same tasks to be carried out has definitely moved zero-touch IoT systems such as ours up the priority list. This is particularly true for some of our sectors where the need for compliance, COVID or no COVID, does not go away. The same is true for our OEM-based work, where companies are working with us to quickly develop and deploy IoT systems for their equipment in the field, so that as this is going to persist, as the new way of working is likely to persist maybe forever, they are well set to be able to manage their devices. One area of particular importance for us, just to share screen of this, by the way, is us working within a -80 freezer. Access port for these is generally around the back, so the sensor comes, the electronics stay on the outside and the sensing element comes into the -80. Here is one of our sensors in a biomedical freezer, just as you can see lying on top of the product. And this is my hand in a liquid nitrogen tank. I think it's actually in New York, this one. And this is just showing some of the organizations that we've been working with literally in the last couple of months. Of particular note here, Oxford University's Jenner Institute working with AstraZeneca to produce COVID vaccine. So we have been chosen to monitor COVID vaccine research, development and distribution in many areas. Although this is a completely unpredicted, unforeseen market for us a year ago, the fact that we've been successful because the functionality that we can deliver, the fit of the KoolZone system to the requirements of monitoring Pfizer vaccine at -70 and Moderna at -20 temperatures and AstraZeneca at fridge temperatures, has meant that then to protect it throughout the whole distribution channel really falls into what we do extremely nicely. So we have won and are continuing to win strategic projects in this global rollout. So just having a little look at introduce you to our quantum sensor. So this is, to the show and tell, this is a box of 5 of our quantum sensors. And this is a set of white quantum sensors with the internal temperature. They are, I think the form factor is very good. It could be biased, but I think it's very good. It's priced to lower the barrier to entry of IoT for customers. It has a no-fuss deployment. You saw it lying on top of the product in that fridge. The door will be shut. These are very sealed units, acting like Faraday cages, and this is very forgiving. You can put it amongst the product, have product on top of it, and typically it will just continue to transmit. It will range and transmit, and so it's easy to deploy multi-building systems for us, complex systems from start to finish, and we can achieve that in a day. Extremely long battery life, tested to over 15 years at 10-minute sampling. Physically very resilient. Can be drop tested many times at minus 40 degrees to check that nothing breaks. From a firmware point of view, it's also we've also spent a lot of time on this, making sure that no matter what happens to this sensor, whether it's physically dropped or whether anything else happens to it, from a corruption point of view, it will recover. So this sensor does what it's meant to do, transmits and transmits and transmits for years. We also have other variants. The sensor has a number of IOs, analog digital IOs, and can be expanded further with little expansion, low-cost expansion boards. So this is a PT1000 with a cryogenic cable capable of going into one of those freezers that I just showed you, and monitoring down to minus 100 degrees. We also have liquid nitrogen variants. This is a liquid nitrogen. I don't know how well you can see this. This is I think a 1.5 meter long probe. All these liquid nitrogen tanks are various different lengths. So the sensing element is in the tip. The metal sheath goes into the tank, and at minus 200, you want to keep the cable, even though it's designed for very low temperatures. You ideally want to keep that outside because it will go very brittle. Another important, and the resolution across all that range is 0.1 degrees C with an average accuracy of less than 0.5 degrees across the range. The sensor does automatic history retrieval. It stores all data. It stores all data with a timestamp synchronized to TTN's network server using 1.03 standard. And that means that history retrieval becomes easy. You need just one downlink to kick off a history retrieval, and you can cherry pick the data that you want. So that means that history retrieval can work in a highly dense environment, pulling data from these sensors, even though there might be tens or hundreds of these in the vicinity. It does super sampling. It abides by duty cycle. I've said that, but it really does abide by duty cycle and extremely strictly. And it really does comply with radio equipment directive right up to the third harmonic, and without a shield as well. So that was an area we put a lot of effort in. We didn't want a shield because in certain environments, well, in fact, primarily just we just decided we didn't want to have a shield. We knew we could do it without a shield. Many products do have shields on there. And those that don't, typically, particularly the third harmonic, can be non-compliant. So we worked hard to design this and redesign this so that we could produce our sensor without any shield over the RF. It's CE compliant and soon to be FCC. That is underway. So I hope that's given you an overview of our business and what we do. And no one company can do everything, and yet customers want a lot. So what we're looking to do in this forum is just to say that there's a lot of us in this LoRaWAN community. We're interested in people who might be wanting to increase their product offering by taking a part of our stack, maybe our sensor, integrating it into their own platform, maybe our platform and integrating their sensors into that, or as I said, selling the whole stack. And we have resellers, and we're looking for people to take us into other countries, other sectors. So if you're interested in that, interested into a SaaS revenue model within your business, please get in touch. We collect masses of data like we all do in the IoT space, and we are always looking to further our work in big data analytics to gain more value out of the data. So looking for bright people to contact us if they're interested in working with us in that or any other area where you feel you might be able to add value. And I think that's it. I'm delighted to have spoken, and I'm looking forward to resuming normal TTN conferences next year back in Amsterdam. Thank you very much.